the micro-artificial reality, and the society of bubbles. In the postmodern era of the artificial society, a phenomenon intensifies silently yet devastatingly: the dissolution of shared reality and the fragmented emergence of thousands of artificial micro-realities. Truth, which once rested on minimal consensus and collective experience, now becomes something subjective, unstable, and shaped by digital interfaces. Reality is no longer common ground. It is an individual construction mediated by algorithms, social bubbles, and isolated symbolic systems. This condition reflects what Jean Baudrillard called hyper-reality, a simulation of the real that replaces the real itself. Micro-realities are not merely interpretive filters. They become autonomous realities that eclipse direct and objective experience of the world. The artificial micro-reality is the perceptive and interpretive universe of each individual, fabricated from a mixture of limited sensory experiences, emotions, beliefs, recommendation algorithms, and symbolic validations. It is a perception of the world encapsulated, built through a cognitive filter shaped by concrete experience and above all by interactions mediated by technology. Everything outside sensory or symbolic reach is discarded. What is not lived or validated within the bubble becomes invisible, irrelevant, or unreal. In the physical realm, this micro-reality is conditioned by a predictable social geography. We coexist with those who share our social class, language, aesthetic, moral, and ideological values. This already creates a limited environment. In the digital realm, this limitation is taken to its maximum power through an algorithmic architecture designed to reinforce what is already believed. The personalization of networks and information systems acts as a mirror of confirmation. It delivers to the subject only what provides cognitive comfort. Here, Byung-Chul Han would warn of the transformation of the world into a narcissistic mirror, where the other disappears, along with alterity and the confrontation with difference. In this machinery of the artificial society, bubbles become perceptual capsules. Groups are formed around values, causes, and worldviews that endlessly feed into themselves. Each bubble represents a symbolic microcosm validated by peers, by algorithms, and even by artificial intelligences that reinforce what should or should not appear, what should be heard, read, felt, followed, or rejected. The result is the emergence of a social multiverse, multiple parallel realities in which each group believes it holds a monopoly on truth. Debate, contradiction, and interpretive diversity are dissolved. In their place, a subjective totality takes root, the belief that what is personally experienced and digitally validated is the only possible reality. This cognitive closure generates a kind of epistemic blindness. Everything outside the bubble is seen with distrust, hostility, or disdain. The artificial micro-reality thus becomes the primary mechanism of the artificial society, a society in which the real is mediated by simulations, where truth is decided by engagement metrics, and where collective thought is shaped by artificial intelligences that learn from our patterns and return them as personalized reality. In this scenario, knowledge ceases to be universalizing and becomes tribal, emotional, and polarized. Reality is converted into a digital menu offered tailor-made to each user, and the contemporary subject, surrounded by confirmations and reflections, imprisons themselves in an almost invisible perceptual cell, comfortable, elegant, seductive. Here, we can invoke Michel Foucault and his notion of technologies of power. Control is no longer exercised through repression, but through the imperceptible curation of attention and desire. Spirituality, from simulation to awakening. From a spiritual perspective, this imprisonment in personalized realities represents a fragmentation of consciousness. The soul, in its earthly journey, seeks experience, unity, and expansion. But in artificial microrealities, it finds itself trapped in emotional and intellectual loops, alienated from the real and confused by the virtual. This alienation echoes Maya, the veil of illusion in Hindu philosophy, which separates us from the essence of reality and leads us to confuse appearance with truth. The ego, inflated by digital confirmations, believes that its limited world is all there is. The separation intensifies between self and other, between the inner and the outer, between truth and versions. Spiritual awakening in this context is not merely opening one's eyes to the spiritual world, but recognizing the perceptual imprisonment imposed by the society of simulation. Authentic spiritual practice, meditation, prayer, contemplation, silence becomes a metaphysical act of resistance. In these moments, the soul disconnects from fabricated microrealities and touches something that cannot be simulated: presence, being, pure consciousness. Awakening requires crossing the mirror, recognizing one's own filters, and being reborn into a reality beyond bubbles, not as a new bubble, but as an opening to the ineffable. Breaking the bubble has become a political, philosophical, and existential challenge. But to break it is not to deny the bubble of the other. It is to recognize our own. And above all, to perceive that every reality, in the context of the artificial society, is subject to symbolic molding, simulation, and manipulation. The artificial micro-reality is the most advanced prison of our time, built with the bricks of desire, convenience, inorganic confirmation bias, and collective validation. The challenge is to find the real behind the versions, not just another version of the real. It is to break the bubble without falling for the illusion of being outside it. It is to recover the inner silence, where truth is not spoken, it is heard. If this message touched you in any way, share it with someone who also needs to reflect on this. Leave your like, a comment with your insights, and help this reflection reach more people. Together, we can break the bubbles, starting with our own.